Why is el Cinco de Mayo important to you? I think a big part of it is that it's been such a huge part of my life.
Cinco de Mayo is a very important day for Chicanos. It demonstrates victory over insurmountable odds. It's a very inspirational story of a people that were determined to fight for justice.
I am the daughter of migrant field workers, and so anything that had to do with my culture, of being proud of who I am, where I come from, was always so important to me, and something that I was raised to be proud of, not only in my own family, but in my extended family, since I was raised by the Chicano movement.
Pachamama, te veo tan triste. Pachamama, me pongo a llorar. Por el suelo, baila verdolaga. Por el suelo.
Cinco de Mayo is important to me for many reasons. First of all, it's a place where I have always taken my family. When my kids were growing up, we'd spend the day in the park, and it was a real cultural celebration and also very educational. I think it's important to our community because it's part of Pueblo's identity. I think when it was decided that Denver would have the 16 de septiembre and Pueblo would have the Cinco de Mayo, it really stuck. And here we are 50 years later, and we're still celebrating much the same way that we always have.
I believe my most significant Cinco de Mayo was the first.
It's important to me because we use it as a tool. I was there for the first Cinco de Mayo that we had at Mineral Palace Park.
And my last name being Guerrero, warrior, you know, the very first Cinco de Mayo, I was there at Mineral Palace Park.
My first involvement with Cinco de Mayo was when I was in high school, and I went as a participant to the event. It was being held at Mineral Palace Park.
We had actually started by the where the Memorial Hall is located now, and we walked up toward Mineral Palace Park, that's where the first Cinco de Mayo was held.
The first time I ever attended Cinco de Mayo was over at Mineral Palace Park. Some of the other venues were at Plaza Verde, Alacon Park, and Zapata Park, and Bessemer Park, and Pueblo Museum.
Looking back and thinking on the last 50 years, where was I? At a Cinco de Mayo, the very first one, Mineral Palace Park. And I know that part of that was because of my parents, my dad's involvement in war on poverty. That was one thing he was really working for.
And we use it as a tool after that to gather Chicanos more and more, you know. That's when we formed La Gente in 1969. I formed it, me and my brother. And we worked hand in hand with Martin Serna and the Brown Berets and that. And we saw it as a tool.
And so this is really brings back a lot of, when you look back at the years, how fast they go, but really 50 years really doesn't seem that long. We were all together, and I remember being amongst some people. Rita Martinez went to high school at Seton High School with me, and Valerie Estrada, my cousin Mary Jean, and some of us, we walked out.
And I just remember going and being amazed that there were so many Chicanos together celebrating and commemorating a significant Mexican holiday. And so after that, I remember going maybe every other year until I really got involved and started working with La Cucaracha, the newspaper. And then after that, by that time, I was totally into it. And then within the year, I became part of the organizing committee.
It opened my eyes to a lot of the heart and soul of our people and the people within this community. And these are individuals that have fought for our rights and defended us with our Constitution.
Some of the things I also remember that first Cinco was parades and protests and Viva la Raza all over.
I was a student at Adams State College from 69 to 71. But I would always come back to Pueblo to visit my folks. And on this one particular evening, I remember walking into the kitchen and my mom and dad were having this conversation about the kind of float that they were going to have for Cinco de Mayo.
Colorado, we're a local Mexica Aztec group here, and we have been a part of the Cinco de Mayo for as long as this community has been going. It's actually our 50th year anniversary. My mom has been a part of this movement since before I was born, so being a part of this every year makes me super proud.
I would have to say it was when I was in later elementary school or early middle school, when Shirley Otero, who is my best friend's mom, would drive us from Fruta, Colorado, all the way to Pueblo, Colorado, to help with booths. We usually were in a booth selling something or performing in some way, whether it was dancing or a comedy skit or something else.
To be able to organize and keep a celebration like Cinco de Mayo going for 5 decades is a lot of work, it's a lot of commitment, it's a lot of passion. So I personally thank the committee, the people of Pueblo, the Martinez and Ortega family for continuing to do what they do, because it's not only a day of celebration, it's a day to be proud of being Chicano, being Mexicano, but the education that comes along with a celebration like this.
The Cinco de Mayo of Pueblo is one of the reasons that we moved to Pueblo years ago. We came to the Cinco de Mayo, I believe it was in 71 and 73 and 74. We were students in Boulder at the time, and we were publishing a newspaper called El Diario de la Gente. After we came here for one Cinco de Mayo, then we decided that we would publish a special edition of the El Diario and distribute it here in Pueblo. We did that for 2 years, in 73 and in 74.
I could see that there was culture that was being celebrated. There was a significant battle for the Mexican people that was being commemorated, and the combination and how it worked in with social justice kinds of things that I was involved with was just a perfect setting and a way to promote what we were working towards.
And so I remember jumping into the conversation, and I told them, I said, why don't you make a carreta, the kind that they use in the social revolution of 1910. And right away my dad says, he says, I'm pretty sure I can make one of those carretas. And my mom says, yeah, and I can get the mothers of La Casa Verde, and they can bring their comals and their puelas and whatever supplies we need to fill the carreta. And then I remember my mom saying, we could even probably get a couple of the berets to help us. They could be the soldados.
It was a tool for us to bring Chicanos more together.
Throughout the years, they've all been exciting. They've been different venues. We've had great speakers. Some of those speakers are not with us anymore, as well as musicians and artists, and the music has changed and evolved over the time, but yet a lot of our generational music has remained the same. Our old gritos.
There's a lot of great memories. but I can't share them because I will definitely incriminate the children of the movement.
You know, years after we moved here and years after we had been celebrating Cinco de Mayo, I got a phone call from my mother. And she says, Juan, you won. And I says, what did we win, Mom? And she says, you won the Cinco de Mayo battle. She says, I just got back from City Market and they have Cinco de Mayo signs all over the store. And it cracks me up because my mom was so proud that Cinco de Mayo had been recognized in our little town of Montrose.
When we helped with the booth, we had a booth at Bessemer Park, and we were selling corn on the cob, and it was really nice. I had my two daughters helping me, and we were a part of the community. It was nice to see people come together to celebrate and be together, gente being together, celebrating one cause, letting our voice be heard.
To me, they've all been very significant, and they've all been memorable. I mean, I can name years where my kids were involved in different aspects of it. I can remember when we could just set up our program and booths, and community people would just be able to come out and set up a booth, and it was just something we all could do.
Can't remember the year, but it was one time when many of us became security for Cinco de Mayo. And we became security because we had heard that some of the gang members in the Pueblo area were going to come and disrupt. And I know as a committee and those of us that support Cinco de Mayo, violence is something that we never put up with.
I won't share those stories, but know that they are filled with a lot of joy. I mean, even though life is hard, and that there's challenge, things we have to address, and that there's so much work to be done. I just remember a lot of laughter, a lot of humor, and a lot of the elders getting mad at us.
So as some of the gang members did come in, so did the police. And the irony of that day was that when the Pueblo Police Department came in, they went after one of our security members, one of our young members of the committee in support of Cinco de Mayo, and that was Jonathan Coca.
There right now, we can have support, have some people over there. We don't want anybody arrested here. Leave our people alone. Leave our people alone.
Jonathan Coca suffered from allergies, and of course his eyes were really red, and the cops stereotyped him that he was someone that was in the park and was getting high, was stoned, and wanted to arrest him, and that just created problems for the community, for those of us that were there, but more importantly for the Cinco de Mayo committee that worked so hard to put on this celebration that a lot of people are very proud of.
Our committee was trying to tell the police that they were there provoking these incidents and to stop. And we were trying to tell them, why are you here? We were asking and questioning them.
So it just proved to us the stereotyping of many of our young people that were at the park that day. The good thing was that we were able to keep him from being held in jail overnight. So that was interesting and memorable, and something that I always remember and won't forget.
Luis Jr. Martinez.
Every action we take in our lives affects all living things. So again, we were educating ourselves to our own history, our own culture. We were exposed to things that we had never heard before or read about in American textbooks, that's for sure.
Ultimately, we would get things done. We would show up and do our part. So I guess I will stick with the memory of my husband and I. Our anniversary, our first date, was on Cinco de Mayo, when my husband asked me out. He said, you want to go out tonight? And I go, what are you going to be doing? And he asked me, what are you going to be doing? And I said, well, I'll be at Sticker Park, I'll be at Plaza Verde Park, and I'll be at Cinco de Mayo all day. So if you want to see me, come by. And that Cinco de Mayo, I happened to be playing Honest Sancho in the teatro. So I had a mustache. I was playing this like used Mexican car salesman, if you know the play. Hilarious.
And when he gets home, he gets on the phone. Tells the baby that he missed her so. When he just seen her 5 minutes ago. He talks an hour, he hangs up, and then picks up the phone and calls her back again.
Yeah, my husband was like, what is this?
I'm the one who really knows.
That's the significance of Cinco de Mayo, the Batalla de Puebla, Mexico, and it's just such a great thing that that here in Pueblo that we're able to see the benefits for our heritage, our culture, and we don't see any difference as far as our culture. That even though they moved the border on us. Here in Pueblo, Pueblo was the borderline, part of the borderline for the battle in 1846. But so we were part of Mexico, and so we still realize that, and we see that this is an important holiday to commemorate because it's so significant for the battles that, as Chicanos, Mexicanos, that we find today.
En la frente de liberación, en un pueblo llamado Chicano, existen mujeres lindas y valientes, existen mujeres que saben luchar, existen mujeres lindas y valientes, existen mujeres que saben luchar.
Well, in addition to all of this, I want to congratulate the Chicano Mexicano community of Pueblo that for all of these decades, 5 decades, has continued to put together one of the biggest and one of the nicest Cinco de Mayo celebrations, not only in the state of Colorado, but throughout the country.
Just looking forward to, whenever we can celebrate Cinco this year, being a part of the committee. There was so much planned, a youth conference, there was so much going to be happening. People coming together, there was, theatro was getting together and doing stuff there, and car shows and fundraisers, and just to get everything going so we could share in this community of Pueblo. And that's what I'm very proud of, is that 50 years of celebrating Cinco in Pueblo, Colorado. Que viva la Cinco de Mayo.
We've had 50 years of Cinco de Mayo, and that's wonderful, and that we need to continue it on long after people are gone, and that it just, the initial organizers were just that, initial organizers, but this is truly a community event that we need to keep grounded in the community, and not sell out to beer companies and to organizations or groups like that, but to keep it simple.
Yay, 50th Cinco de Mayo in Pueblo. That's been continuous in our community.
It's not only a day of celebration, it's a day to be proud of being Chicano, being Mexicano, but the education that comes along with a celebration like this. So congratulations on your 50th celebration. Too bad we can't be at the park this year due to this virus to celebrate it, but when things are over, the community will get together. So I wish them good luck, and that they continue to celebrate for another 50 years.
It feels good as a community to see us uniting and all loving each other. We just want to be a part of it, even though we're not able to do the same things that we used to because we're in quarantine and not able to go out in the community like we always do. But I still wanted to share some love, some good vibes, and say happy Cinco de Mayo.
Overall, what's most important to me is that the young kids coming up, our students, the children, understand that Cinco de Mayo is something that it continued to be a commemoration of how important it is for our people to overcome adversity. Time and time again throughout our history, it's been important for us to be able to overcome a tremendous amount of adversity. And to be able to teach that to our kids is so important.
En la frente de liberación, en un pueblo llamado Chicano.